Oh, yeah, love it.
Thank you for the beer.
Oh, you bet. You bet.
We watched this guy. His name is Steve Wallis.
Mm-hmm.
Heard of him? Canadian
Almost.
fella?
I know a Steve Lawless, who's Canadian.
Well, that sounds familiar. What does he do?
He was a teacher at the school I went to.
And his last name was Lawless?
Lawless.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So, Steve Wallis does stealth camping. And I first saw him do a roundabout. So it was just tiny, damn, that thing's raging. Tiny little roundabout, bunch of bushes and trees around, and he would wait till there's a break in traffic and just run into the bushes and hide in there and camp out. And sometimes he sets up camo netting to help conceal himself better, but in a lot of situations he'll just do low light and try to kind of see what he could do. He's gotten really popular. But I think the main appeal of him is that he's not trying to be some kind of YouTube celebrity or influencer.
Yeah.
He's just like...
Just stealth camping?
Just talking to... Yeah, he's a real simple dude.
Does he talk with the camera, like interact with you?
Yeah. And he kind of describes what he's doing. He gets nervous about the whole thing, so he's not some kind of pro that goes, yeah, this is no big deal. We're going to do this and that. And his gear is never... high tech or expensive. He pretty much just uses anything you could find at Walmart, and I don't like that he's very disposable with things. He'll like use something once, and if it breaks, he's like, all right, that goes in the trash. But it is also nice that he's not making having the most expensive gear a barrier to entry. So
I really like that.
Yeah.
I see so many of these outdoorsy things, often on YouTube, and they have like, you know, a $1,200 tent and all this gear, and you're like, oh, that looks cool, but like, I can't afford it.
Yeah.
It's just not for me, you know. I'll just keep doing what I do here. Speaking of disposable, though, I was at the dump earlier today. I had I'd say a really nice day, all in all.
nice.
First day back from being sick. And like feeling not like 100% back, but nearly. Just kind of, you just feel good. Like, everything's so exciting. Like seeing my clients who like
I miss you. Did you listen to the last episode?
What's that?
You tell him I missed you. Did you listen to the last episode?
No, I didn't. But yeah, it was nice to see them even, and that's work for me. So sometimes it's like, I think it's pretty easy to loathe going into work a little bit. But after being off work for like nearly a week, it's just like, oh yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah.
But I went to the dump later today. And I actually kind of love going to the dump. It's kind of, I don't know, it just it's a little bit nostalgic. Yeah. But it also makes me feel like I've accomplished something, because like I'm at that point where I'm going to the dump and I'm clearing out all this junk.
You get like a whole truckload, and you get to see, oh, I actually did do something, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And then there's something about the dump that everybody there, they kind of know what's up. There's a lot of people that have never been to the dump.
Yeah.
And if you're there, there's a bunch of contractors out there dumping a lot of shit, trailers full. But even when I go in there with like yard trimmings and stuff, I'm like, could have paid someone to do the yard and never touched it myself, but I'm out here at the dump with the men.
Hell yeah.
And women.
Yeah. I see a lot of lady dumpers out there.
There's a lot of ladies at the dump.
Yep.
Lady dumpers.
But part of my dump journey today was cleaning out and reorganizing my truck, which
needed to happen
real bad. And it highlighted for me some areas I definitely want to improve on. And so, like, within starting my business over this past 2 years here, I've been kind of in a mindset of disposable stuff. Mm-hmm. I can't afford expensive tools, so I'm just going to get cheap tools so they break and throw them away. Similar with like little things like my spacers for my tiles. Mm-hmm. Just like not worrying about them, letting them get dirty and just throwing them away because I don't have the space to store or organize things.
I've never seen reusable spacers.
They're not all reusable, but a lot of them are. I use like these horseshoe-shaped ones.
Nice.
Yeah, and they're very much so reusable, but I just wasn't organized, and so I would often just throw them away and get fresh ones, you know. But I did it today.
Nice.
Just buckled down, put in some tunes. It was a sunny day out. Yeah,
That's sweet.
I even washed my truck
What?
by hand. Yeah.
Dude, what did your clients say?
Oh, this was after I left their house, so
Tomorrow, I'll be like, who are you and what have you done with Avery?
yeah, this thing looks good.
Yeah, there's something about, so my dad used to always tell me he had a truck forever and he sold auto parts, still does. So he has the back full of grease from transporting engines, transmissions, what have you. And I was like, Dad, why don't you clean up your truck? You know, you have a business. Don't you want to come off as like a little bit professional in your business?
Yeah.
No. If I leave my truck dirty, no one will ever ask me to borrow it. No one will ever try and break into it. And I think in reality he was just lazy.
Yeah.
Or had other priorities. You're not lazy, Dad. He just found out we're doing a podcast.
Oh,
A
nice.
few minutes ago, I was talking to him on the phone.
Oh, awesome.
And then he's talked for 10 minutes giving me his ideas for what a podcast should be. It was basically just standing in the street and heckling people and fucking with them.
Oh, nice.
Like-
That's where you get it.
It doesn't fall, I don't fall far from the tree. Yeah, for sure. I am a shit talker. But the point I bring up is the truck. Is there something about it that it is kind of nice to have it dirty? And it does the same thing with the dump. It makes you feel like I'm doing shit with this thing.
Yeah.
And then I also see people who baby their trucks. I'm like, it's a truck.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's not a baby.
Yeah, it's not a Corvette. Like, what are you doing?
Not like that dude that we went to swim in his pool for
Oh,
buddy's
dude.
birthday.
Freaking, what do we even call that place? It's like Plastictopia.
Plastictopia seems like a new Pixar movie.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn the light on for right here.
Nice, nice.
Actually, I don't have to go far.
Yeah, that place was pretty obscene. One bit of feedback, I think, that's maybe been the most consistent is that finding a topic to talk about might pique interest or like keep people a little bit more engaged.
What if we made that our topic of this episode? Is like, why is that consistent feedback that we're getting? Why is it something that we're not doing? What's the appeal of it? Is it something that we really want to do?
Yeah.
Like, let's analyze that. Is that all right?
Yeah, totally. Is it because the majority of people are just basic, and they're just basic podcast listeners, and they just want what they're comfortable and used to?
We're talking about our audience, dude.
Oh,
So a lot of people are, but our audience
not our audience.
are not. Our audience are very sophisticated, and that's why they would like a deep dive into these topics.
Ah,
Yeah.
sophisticated. Not. Did I say basic?
Oh, you misspoke.
Yeah, I
It's
just.
a language thing.
Yeah. I
You were
tend to
thinking in
mumble.
Spanish, basic is actually sophisticated in English. It was all those years you took Spanish.
I believe you. I totally believe you.
Oh, by the way, my friend commented on pelo
Yeah.
having a D in it, which I did not know,
Oh.
and now I know. Thank you.
Nice.
But we're not falling off topic. Why
No.
do people want us to stick on topic? Do you have an idea for like how long they want us to stay on topic?
I don't know. Is it?
Is it something that we're supposed to do for a short time? Or is it something we're supposed to do for the whole podcast?
Well, in my opinion, the vast majority of people are actually some form of ADHD,
Yeah.
and so like maybe like the staying on topic is kind of like a fantasy of theirs.
Oh.
Not our clientele, not our listeners, because
No,
they're
ours are very aware of themselves.
yeah, down to earth, good folk.
That's what I've been saying.
Yeah, oh
this
yeah.
whole time.
But yeah, maybe it's like this sense of accomplishment or sense of like they might feel like they're growing or learning or something if they're like listening to something that's staying on topic.
Oh. These make a lot of noise when you move them. So I'll probably have to like cut this out. But
Oh, I see.
I feel like it's rubbing here a lot.
Nice.
So I can totally see that. What?
I just had a thought. Don't.
Okay. Blowing past it. I can totally see the idea that people don't want to feel like they're wasting their time. We all have this huge burden on us to be productive.
Yeah.
And so even the media that we consume, and I know because I do it myself, is how can I do this thing better? Or what can I learn about this? And all. And so I could totally see that. Dude, you got to tell me.
At this point, I don't even remember anymore. It's just...
Something in my face.
No. You look good. You look really good tonight, actually. Yeah.
Thank you.
I like the flannel.
Thank you.
Yeah, and also that pants situation is very, like, modern.
Yeah, I almost would think it's postmodern, futuristic.
Kanye West-esque, I would say, even.
I was wearing this before I knew who Kanye was. We're getting off topic. Back on topic.
Mm-hmm.
So if people want us to stick to a topic for longer, at least we know that it's longer. We don't know that they want us to stick on it for the whole podcast, but at the very least, more than a few minutes like we tend to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so the nature of this podcast, here's another piece of feedback that we get. People feel like they're in the room hanging out with us.
Yeah.
And now I've been taking that kind of feedback as I enjoy that, feeling like I'm in the room with you. It could be that people are saying that and may not necessarily prefer that, may actually want to listen to some kind of curated thing.
Yeah.
But the sentiment I get when I hear that is like, I'm hanging out with you guys.
Yeah.
So then my question is, if some of the same people, which I know to be the case, enjoy the aspect of feeling like they're hanging out with us and is having a normal conversation, they also want us to stick to a topic and maybe feel like we're focused in teaching them something. Mm-hmm. Like, is that really what happens in a real conversation? Not with me.
No, not with me. I was definitely thinking about something entirely different while you were talking for a while. I was trying really hard to focus, but this morning, I don't know if you've ever watched Kill Tony. He's
it's
like,
his fault that we switched topics.
Well, this is relevant. This is important. Yeah. And I have just not been able to stop thinking about it. But there was this. I don't actually know if they were. I don't actually know what the right word to use is in this situation. I'm not sure if they were a trans woman or if they were just a woman. But they were a little taller, broad-shouldered, a little more bigger. And they came up on the stage and they're like, my pronouns are fee, fi, fo, fum. And it was just like, oh, shit.
If you're a big lady, you have to be self-aware. Like, you have to make jokes about it.
Yeah.
So wait, how does that relate?
I just had to get it off my mind because I've been thinking about it. It keeps making me smile.
Fee, fi, fo, fum.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I was like, oh, it was like the first thing they said when they came up on the stage. I was like, oh, it's pretty good.
Yeah. That's definitely disarming.
Yeah.
I'll steal someone else's joke too.
Yeah.
You know Sam Morril?
I don't think so.
He's got this joke in his special, and I saw it come up on a clip on Instagram. Pretty common for comedians to go on morning shows to help promote their show because their agent will tell them to.
Yeah.
These morning shows, they have to be buttoned up, tight-laced, professionals.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they don't laugh at the jokes that comedians make. And so comedians tend to bomb on morning shows very often.
Yeah.
But their agents keep pushing them to do it because they feel like it somehow drives ticket sales.
Huh.
So this guy's showing a clip of when he was being interviewed by a morning show, and the anchor's like, oh, yeah, I hear you have this joke about how babies and guns are similar. I don't really know. I don't know that. He's like, I think of some messed up things, but this is really by far, I would never think of this. And he's like, could you tell us more about the joke? And so he starts going, yeah, he's like, oh, well, a baby and a gun are both similar in the way that, I never really get the appeal of, like, why anybody would want one until you pick one up and you're like, oh, this is kind of cool. And the anchor's like, okay, I can kind of see the humor in that. And, he goes, and then, you start dating a girl with one, or you go on a date with someone who has one, and you're like, oh, this is okay, but it could be a problem.
Yeah.
They're both annoying on airplanes, and they'll both be in school soon. And the fucking anchor's like, do not laugh at this at all.
Oh.
They're just both standing there, straight face. Nobody's reacting to the joke, but
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty good comparison. The babies and the guns.
Yeah, that's actually really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You'd almost think I wrote it myself.
Yeah, dude. Right before we get back on topic, I do think having more humor within our news system and like our daily television and stuff would just be really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have to be overly curated. Just like maybe if the whatever the business of news just lightened up a little bit.
Yeah.
It wasn't so gruesome, and like maybe smiled and laughed a little bit, and like wasn't overly concerned about professionalism. I watched a little like clip of these Australian news anchors, and they were just like cracking up about something, and they just kept rolling with the news. They kept playing it. They kept cracking up, and like they made it through the news segment with a lot of giggles.
Nice.
And I was like, that was the most enjoyable bit of news I've ever watched.
Yeah, and I feel like those clips really kill. Those spread online of mistakes that they'll make while they're reading the news or whatever. One of them, this lady, is talking about dressing up dogs. She's like, oh yeah, I dress up my dog, and she asks her co-anchor, do you dress up your dog? Like, you have a golden? He's like, oh, maybe once in a while. And she goes, yeah, and Mark's got a little wiener. Do you dress him up? Like, everybody loses it.
Yeah.
I am a 100% advocate for people take themselves too seriously. It's something I've been pushing for a long time, and if you've ever worked with me, you'll know that whenever people get all harumph, even friends of mine, like, this is serious, is exactly when I go, I'm going to try and make you realize how dumb it is to act all serious about right now.
Oh, man. Yeah. I know a harumpher.
We all do.
Yeah, and like it just gets old, It's like I was actually talking. My one client has like a 2-year-old, and they were talking about them today. And like, yeah, my 2-year-old doesn't know how to regulate their emotions, because they're 2,
Yeah.
And I feel like harumphers, this harumfer in particular, it's kind of like that. Kind of like a 2-year-old.
Also
like,
doesn't regulate his emotions.
Yeah, it's like you're not the only person in the room or this world. Like, you can fake it for a little bit for the greater good.
Yeah. And this ties back to, I'm going to bring it back on topic with this. My mom would always say, and it would annoy me to no end, she'd be like, you're only noticing these things in other people that you don't like because you do it yourself. And fuck you, Mom. But, you sit on that for long enough, and you start to realize that, well, a lot of the things that you do notice about other people are projections of yourself.
Yeah.
And so bringing it back to the topic at hand, why do people want us to stay on topic?
Are you suggesting that it might be insecurity driven, or it's an internal thing that the listener's going through?
So what's a natural thing that happens when you consume enough media about or containing a person? Like, if you watch a series of films and you see this same actor is like always a great character in these films, you don't know this guy or girl.
Yeah.
But you still view them as, or fee, fi, fo, fum, but you still view them as, I knew that would get him.
That was too good, too well timed.
You've seen this actor or actress in a bunch of things, and you tend to like them.
Yeah.
And some of it has to do with their merit as an actor or actress, but a big part of it has to do with the roles that they're portraying that were given to
Yeah.
them. You let it all out.
Just, oh shit. Oh,
Nuts.
that would just be so. It would be so nice if whatever the new gender that comes out is a fee fi fo fum.
Yeah, I'm sure it exists. Someone's
Yeah.
doing it, ironically.
Yeah.
The point I'm making has nothing to do with gender and everything to do with turning people into heroes. And maybe hero feels like a strong word, but let's say the people who you consume the most, their content, you want to emulate them in some sort of way. You don't watch videos of people you don't want to be like. You don't watch movies and root for the people that you hate. And so much of who we are has to do with the media that we consume. It's something that I'm aware of because it's been brought to my attention. And also, I consume a lot of media.
Yeah.
A lot of people do. I'd say the majority of us do. And maybe we don't realize that we have these this is a word I learned the other day. I've been throwing around like crazy.
Yeah.
We have parasocial relationships with the people that we watch their content. And so we've never met them or interacted with them, but we still feel like we know them. It's like a one-sided relationship, right?
Yeah.
And the difference here is that you guys know us for the most part. I don't know if you guys know me. Probably don't. Nice to meet you. I'm Laz. I'm friends with Avery. Maybe you haven't met Avery.
I'm Avery and friends with Laz.
It's not nice to meet them.
Oh no, it's very nice. It's really nice. Real pleasure. Yeah.
It's ours. The pleasure's ours.
Clearly.
But the point I'm trying to make is, how about you guys analyze why you want us to stay on a topic
Oh.
and tell us that? Because I am very much the kind of person, to everyone else's annoyance, that I want to understand why I'm being asked to do something. I don't like to do things just because that's what people ask of me.
Yeah.
And if I see the logic, which this isn't a perfect thing, sometimes it's to a fault, but
Certainly.
if I see the logic in it, maybe I'll do it. Most likely I'll do it.
Yeah.
But if you're telling me do it, why? Because I want you to do it. It's not how it goes, brother or sister.
Yeah. Very different in a work setting, of course. Like if you're.
I have a problem there too.
Yeah. Oh, I'm hella obedient.
Yeah?
Oh yeah, dude.
Hey, you mind sitting back down, bud?
No, damn it! I'll do what I damn well, please.
Yeah.
What were you saying? Yep.
I think a lot of it has to, to get on that topic, that was something I had to navigate entering a new career, especially one that isn't in the trades, where for 7 years, 8 years, I was basically of the mind of like, yeah, we might be buddy-buddy and stuff, but you're working for the contractor who's constantly trying to get as much production out of me as possible and looks at me like a number, this, that, and the other. And even though there were a lot of foremen that I was cool with and I enjoyed, they're only one link in that chain, right? And so they get these orders from people in the office who don't really know what's going on in the field. And, that's that classic rivalry, that dichotomy of like, you guys don't know, well, you guys also don't know this. And so it's basically a rivalry at work with the people who employ you. And then I get to a small agency that's like 5 employees when I first got on there. Still now less than 10 employees. And working with my boss every day. And it's a much more personal setting. And on top of that, I don't know that much about what I'm doing. At least not when I first started. In a lot of ways, I've learned a lot and grown a lot. But
Yeah.
I had to put my ego aside and say, when my boss would kind of say, you don't know this, you need to do this, you need to do that, you did that wrong. It's like, you need to swallow that pride and learn from it. And a lot of people don't. But the reason I bring it up is because I realized just how combative I am with authority, which is something I've known for a long time, but it's been put in my face lately, and I feel pretty proud of myself for having swallowed my pride in most situations.
Yeah.
90%, 95% of situations.
Yeah, you're good at
and
swallowing.
learning. Great.
Nice.
The best.
Nice. Or getting better. You're getting better at swallowing.
That was a great one.
Your pride.
That was a good one. So yeah, long story short, master swallower. Be good at it too.
I've actually, I mean, swallowing's hard. Swallowing your pride is a hard thing to do. And I won't say I'm perfect at it now, or have been in the past or whatever. It's definitely a journey to learn how to swallow your pride well, and just listen and be part of a team, you know.
Yeah, being part of a team, collaborating, and delegating, things that I have trouble with.
Yeah.
Only child, and a lot of times decided to undertake projects on my own. Most times, at least when I was younger, for lack of interested people around me. But still, the times that there were people who were interested, it's just, I may have been doing the thing already for a while, and so I have a certain level of understanding of what it is that we're doing, and then the other person hadn't. And so now it's like, I got to teach you, and I got to do this thing, and like,
Yeah.
something I struggle with, for sure. And something I hope to get better at.
Yeah. Something I would like to experience struggling with is gambling. I would like to have enough money at some point in my life where I can go through a gambling phase. Just 'cause. Sounds fun. Sounds like, and like you see it throughout Hollywood and movies, and it's a really big industry. And I haven't, like, I've done a little bit of gambling within, like, crypto. But I just think it sounds like a good time. Sounds like a really good time.
Did I tell you that we won some money when we were away for Labor Day weekend? Have we talked since then?
I don't think so. No.
So, in Washington, you can gamble at bars. I mean, I guess you can here with the slot machines and all that, but
Yeah.
over in Washington, it's basically scratch-offs. They'll sell the bars this box full of pull tabs, and let's say there's 600 pull tabs in there, and maybe 60 of them are winners or something like that, 50 of them.
Yeah.
And for varying amounts, some of them for $1, whatever. I had an extra $1, and I said to the bartender, if I could throw it on one of the pull tabs. I'm not a gambling man, but I said, whatever. I'm willing to part with this $1, give it. We get the pull tab, and my buddy, who had invited us on the trip, who was like also paying for things because he makes quite a bit of money, comes up and he's like, oh, you're doing this? Let's do this. I'm like, oh, I didn't know you were a gambler. Yeah, not really, but whatever.
Yeah.
So he drops $10 on it. And whatever, we bring it back to the table. Everybody opens their little pull tabs. We get like $6 or $7 out of it. Go back up to the bars, let it ride, put the 6 or 7 back in, whatever, and end up with 4. Like, fuck it, what are we gonna do with $4? Just put it back on there. And then the last pull tab was $600.
Oh,
which was the highest you could win.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
So my buddy, I was the one that opened the pull tab, even though he paid for it. He was like, no, that's your money. That's your money. So
Yeah.
all right, I guess I'm paying for the rest of the trip then, whatever we have. And so, you know, by the end of it, there wasn't really much left, but it was still a free vacation. But I still had like maybe $100 burning a hole in my pocket, and all I could think about was, I can go to the gas station right now and get scratch-offs.
Oh, dude.
Dude,
it is
brutal
addictive.
when it gets you. When you win, I mean, it's the only thing you can.
Yeah. I mean, even when you lose, though, too, if you've had some winning in the past, you're still like, you can be on a losing streak, but wait, no, I gotta keep going.
Yeah.
Actually, I think gambling is a really interesting topic, and that is something I would actually research and dive into a little bit. But like, I play fantasy football.
That's gambling.
Yeah, and I put $50 on it every year, and our whole team of 12 people put $50 in, and the winner gets, I think, all of it, or like 90% or 80%, and then second place gets a little prize too.
Nice.
But through my time playing fantasy football, which I'm really bad at. I have no idea how it's possible to be this bad at fantasy football, but like I have never even come close to winning. But it's still fun, so I keep doing it.
Yeah.
And I do it with my brothers and some friends, so it's like a nice way to stay connected. Actually, it's a league of brothers.
Oh,
It's
really?
me and my brothers, these two other brothers, and then these two other brothers. So
That sounds like a title for a movie.
yeah,
League of Brothers.
League of Brothers. Yeah,
So you gamble with fantasy.
yeah. It's a little fantasy gamble, and we do a lot of trash talking, which
That's
is
the best part of
fun.
fantasy, yeah.
Yeah,
I played only 2 years. My first year I won, which
yeah.
I'm not a football guy, and everybody was very pissed about that.
Yeah.
My second year, I came this close. I got Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce when they were all playing together.
Oh dang.
And so I was just fucking mopping the floor with everybody. I got to the playoffs, but didn't end up winning in the end.
Yeah.
But one of the things that was the best about that was the group chats and the shit talk. And I made a song, too, about how I was kicking everyone's ass. It was a lot of fun.
Nice. Hell yeah.
So before I don't know if we'll dive into gambling today, but I want to circle back and button up on this topic. Even without the scrotum totem, I'm still remembering what we're going to talk about.
That's growth, baby.
Oh, I thought you were saying that's gross.
No, that's growth. We're growthing.
Both. It's both.
That's growth. That's growth.
So the idea is I'm wanting to know, do you think that as much as we talked about staying on topic, is that enough? I still feel like it's not enough for these people.
I think it's a serious step in the right direction.
It
Which I believe in small steps and not taking too big of steps, because it's hard to pull back from a really big step. Whereas like a small step, you can backstep pretty easy.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure how deep we are into this. Did you happen to notice?
I didn't even look at the time, honestly.
Yeah. But I think we've done pretty good. I feel good. We can still stick to it as we kind of, that being the theme of our session tonight.
Yeah. And so I know that the scrotum totem didn't work out super great last episode,
Yeah.
but I still think the concept can work, and I'm willing to give it another shot, maybe with something else. What if we got a big prop timer, and we could set it to like 20 minutes, let's say. And so once we're ready to talk about a topic, we bam, hit the button, and then the timer starts counting down. And as long as that timer is counting down, we're on that topic.
Yeah. That's kind of a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I know that this is what a lot of people are saying to you. I don't know if that's really what they want.
I actually really agree with that. I think people say that because it's like, well, we've asked for some feedback.
Yeah, and thank you for the feedback.
Yeah, we love the feedback.
Don't take this. This is just constructive, is what I'm trying to do here. I'm not talking shit about what anybody's thinking or whatever. I'm trying to get to the root of the problem, not trying to bash anybody for what you've said or believe. Unless you've said something wrong or believe something wrong.
Yeah, you can go as deep as you want with the feedback.
Yeah. Cut deep.
Yep.
We could take it.
Oh, yeah. Just like orders and
Yes.
not being rebellious against anything. We can handle it.
So you were saying that you also think that the people don't know what they want.
Kind of. Well, I think there's something to be said for kind of just sticking to what we are and what we do, and the fact that like we are a little all over the place, and that feels genuine. And I think genuine is more desirable than sticking to these archetypes of what a podcast should be, because like all these podcasts are very focused and curated, and like they spend weeks preparing their stuff and they write things down, and I haven't written a single thing down once. Have you?
Well, what are you talking about? You have a keep journal.
Well, for the podcast. Like, my keep journal is... I actually haven't written much in my keep journal recently, but...
I made it through school without ever writing a single thing once. No, I haven't
High
written
school.
anything for the podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess... No, not really.
Yeah.
putting in a description for the episode, but even then, those are pretty brief.
Yeah, which I think is kind of beautiful. Like, just to get up, sit up here and talk and have this connection between us, and like if our greater audience feels connected to that too and wants to listen, that's awesome. That's amazing. It just makes me smile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have done a bit of research into podcasting as a whole, just to hear what some people think some good advice is for podcasting. I'll get you another one of those in a sec. And one thing that I've heard from a couple different sources is to do the opposite of what we're doing right now and to do what the audience is asking for, which is to pick a niche, pick like a topic.
Yeah.
And they would even suggest, like, let's say you wanted to talk about sports, you can't just talk about sports. Like, you have to talk about football, but you can't talk about just football. Like,
Yeah.
pick a team that you really love and make about, because I think in their mind it's all about how do you gain a very active fan base.
Yeah.
It's all about monetization, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And the argument I've heard is like, yeah, there are podcasts that just generally talk shit, but they were like first to market, so they have that benefit of being around for a long time and getting those followers before there were so many people in
Yeah.
the space. I'm still like, why make a podcast about something that we may not necessarily want to talk about every single week
Yeah.
if it's not fun?
Yeah, yeah. I'm right there with you. I think this makes us kind of pioneers into a new realm of podcasting, or explorers or something. Like, this is different. This is new for us. Certainly, I'm sure somebody else has sat in front of two white dudes have sat in front of a camera and recorded themselves talk about
sure?
miscellaneous stuff.
Excuse me.
Oh, sorry.
I'm very sensitive.
Pretty white dudes.
Close enough to what? Yeah.
But not
American
fully.
as hell.
So I think it's kind of exciting to to be doing this and then just to keep going for it and to and maybe it's my rebellious spirit, but to not bend to the will of the audience, and that might get some backlash or something, but it feels exciting. It just feels like new territory, and I think my little rebellious spirit and exploratory soul is fed by that,
Little rebellious spirit and exploratory soul sound like mascots for a video game or something. No, I agree. I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get you another beer.
Oh.
You want to hit him with a... And we'll be back.
Oh, Saluji, my man.
Saludi.
Did you say Saludi?
Saludi.
Nice. I tried to say Saúde.
And what does that mean?
That's salute, but in Portuguese.
Ah.
Saúde.
Yeah.
Pão de queijo.
Portuguese.
No?
No.
Just because it's does it feel like it's Spanish but just wrong?
No, honestly, just,
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
you know.
Brazil, I've never been there.
Neither have
I've only seen stuff on online and social media, and it looks like it's just full of beautiful people from what I see.
Well, yeah, that is no doubt. Brazilians are beautiful.
Yeah. Oh. Well, I'm pretty sure before we had our small beer intermission, we were talking about very uninteresting stuff. Staying on topic, blah, blah, blah. Nothing anybody cares about. So I'd like to spice things up just a little and bring up a new topic.
Okay.
And this topic has had a very tiny bit of thought put into it. But I think it's actually really interesting. And it's parchment paper.
Huh.
Yeah, fucking parchment paper. Wow, have you ever cooked with it or used it?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's like magic.
It is pretty good.
Yeah.
I learned this trick from a buddy of mine that when you put produce, like let's say onions in a Tupperware, you line it with parchment paper first, That way the Tupperware doesn't smell like onions.
I just learned that this summer.
Yeah, you're the one that told me that.
Oh, nice! Hell yeah! I'll take it. Woo! Yeah. So I was chatting with my roomie last night.
You know who you are.
Yeah, you do. And actually, it was really nice of her. I asked her to text me tonight to remind me about parchment paper because I knew I would forget. And just as I pulled up, I got the text, parchment paper. I was like, oh, nice. Yes,
That's
I remember.
All it was, parchment paper?
Oh, yep.
That's a good roomie.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Very. Actually, really one of the best people I've met in a hot second. I meet a lot of good people, which is nice. There's a lot of good people out there. But this cat is just cool. There's just a cool cat. Fun to talk to, open-minded.
So we
Good
won't
stuff.
stray from parchment paper too long or anymore. But I do want to talk about that, and I'll put a pin in my scrolling totem to remember to talk about that. So parchment paper.
Uh-huh.
The magic of parchment paper, you were saying?
Yeah, like why doesn't it catch on fire when you cook with it? And you put it in an oven at 450 degrees for a half an hour. And it just chills. It's just good.
Yeah. I think, so what's the ignition temperature of paper?
I have no idea.
I think it's probably higher than that, is what it is.
Yeah. Well, but what about, like, I guess I've never tried this, but have you ever put printer paper just in the oven and cooked it?
No. I feel
Would
like
it-
it might do the same. Oh, maybe
Yeah.
parchment paper is coated in wax, right?
No, wax paper is coated in wax.
What's parchment paper coated in?
I don't know.
Plastic?
Nothing really. It just feels like paper. And like so that we talked about wax paper too, and I'm like, what's the difference? And I was like, well, wax paper is like covered in wax and it lights on fire when you put it in the oven
Yeah.
for too long, and it melts and stuff. And I did when I was a kid. I smoked a stinging nettles bud joint rolled in wax paper.
Huh.
Yeah. So
That
I
doesn't sound good for you.
don't think it was.
Explains a lot of things.
Yeah, but I learned. So stinging nettles is in the cannabis family, and it actually has a really low amount of THC in it.
I had no idea.
Yeah,
Huh.
and it's actually really similar to the early era of cannabis. And like I'm pretty sure I haven't proven this, but like I think you could selectively breed nettles to the point where it had high enough THC content in it where you get a little stoned.
Yeah.
So that was my thought as a youngster. I like harvested the stinging nettle buds before they got pollinated and went to seed, dried them, smoked them in wax paper. Wouldn't recommend it. Definitely would not recommend it. Unless you're just curious.
Well, then definitely do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I would like to. I might even pull up Google on my phone and look up parchment paper.
Look it up.
Cause like, why does parchment paper work? Like, what do we ask Google?
So this brings up a pretty good point, and I don't think we're at that point just yet, but give it 2 more episodes, and we're gonna need a fact checker.
I think PDO Kincaid would be a great fact checker.
Well, yeah, it'd be a great fact checker.
Yeah.
I feel like he'd be fact checking. Imagine the pyramid conversation with Pete.
What pyramid conversation?
Dude, the last time we were sitting out here, we were talking about how the pyramids were ancient internet for people.
Oh, he would
And I
just.
was saying they were power plants. We'd be getting a lot of falses.
All right, get this. Parchment paper is coated in or with silicone.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's better than plastic, but I'm still not sure how I feel about that.
Me either. I love parchment paper though. Like, love it. Love it to
Yeah.
death.
So what are
Yeah.
some other uses for parchment paper besides baking and lining your Tupperware with it? Smoking stinging nettle in it?
No, that's wax paper.
Oh, okay.
Because parchment paper doesn't
I like it as a
burn
wrapper.
well.
I like it as a wrapper for things. So I've made honey candies, which is basically just honey, sugar, and water. And you cook it enough so that it crystallizes. And I've got this little silicone mold where you can make little balls of honey candy. And then when I take them out, I wrap them in parchment paper.
Huh. So far, that is quite a bit more creative than Google's responses. They're just like all talking about cookies and baking, and you can wrap up leftovers in parchment paper. I think it's high time that we get creative with parchment paper and
Yeah.
just do some things with it.
Dude, that's what I've been saying for years.
Me too. Me too.
Okay, how about this? Next episode, we come back with a parchment paper use. But I don't just mean words. I mean, we actually bring the use case.
All right.
Show and tell.
I'm very down. So currently, 12 clever uses for parchment paper. Line baking sheets and pan.
Not clever.
Nope. Create an instant icing bag with parchment paper. I don't understand that,
That's
but
clever. So you fold the parchment paper like a funnel, and then you throw icing in it, and then you use the tip
oh,
to squeeze the icing out and like
Ooh.
decorate a cake. That's
yeah,
clever.
that is clever. You do that motion very well. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's nice.
You're charged up today, dude.
Streamline arts and craft time.
Streamline arts.
Yeah, so you arts and craft on top of your parchment paper, making cleanup easy.
Okay.
Maybe a little wasteful.
Not clever.
Muffin liner,
Not clever.
gift wrap. That just seems that seems like a very poor thing to do.
Well, it's
I didn't
like,
have gift paper. I just had a little parchment paper
I think
laying
if you
around.
have the nice brown parchment paper, it probably makes it look like vintage.
Oh yeah, that
Clever.
could be nice. Excuse me, little burps. Food storage,
Not clever.
dinner time with a placemat,
Not clever.
sushi roller.
That's clever.
Yeah. It's not like it doesn't blow me away. Doesn't
No.
doesn't inspire me. It's not like the instant icing bag, because that's like
That one inspired.
that inspired
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
That
yeah.
is like some
Yeah, yeah,
engineering, and
for
like
sure.
that's something I could use within my yeah.
I could use this. We could all use a little bit of this.
I could use it for a little grout. I could squeeze grout into lines with
Oh.
parchment paper, dude.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Gosh, that. So I love coming up with ideas.
That's what everybody says about you.
Yeah, that's like it's a big part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been coming up with quite a few recently. And I feel like now's a good time to share, because nobody else has listened to my ideas, because I haven't told anybody. Except some.
Bit of a barrier.
Yeah, except my roommate, who I tell all my ideas to, and I'm pretty sure they only half listen these days.
This parchment paper?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Good old PP.
Yeah, they know who they are. Finger pistols.
You still remember?
Finger pistols, I learned that from an old coworker. And he was like, yeah, I just use my finger pistols when I don't want to do something. I was like, what do you mean, finger pistols? He's like, that. So, like, when I don't know something or I'm busy, I just go point to somebody else.
Nice.
Like, oh, nice, finger pistols.
It buys time while you're thinking of an answer.
Yeah.
Instead of hemming and hawing and you go,
Yep.
I'll get back to you on that.
But my ideas,
They're good ideas.
they're actually, like, I would say really good. The first and most flavorful idea I've had, I don't know what to call it, but it's mustache seasoning or flavoring. Which there's mustache wax. I don't know if any of it's flavored, but I accidentally put some beard oil in my mustache the other day, and it was bergamot and vanilla bean flavored. And
Flavored or scented?
I don't know.
Huh.
It's beeswax, so it's in there. If you
Yeah,
ate it, I'm sure
yeah.
it tasted like it, but it's also scented that way. And then I shared a kiss with somebody, and they're like, "Oh, like, your mustache smells great." I was like, or something along those lines. I don't know if they use "great," but then like
So
ping,
it's
light
for
went
the
off.
other person. That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
The other, the
But
partner.
not solely. So, and that's why I'm calling it seasoning, because then later I drank a glass of water, and it kind of filters through the mustache, and the water tasted like bergamot and vanilla, and I was like, oh.
Interesting.
So like, if I flavored my mustache like, say, blue raspberry or some fun candy flavor,
Fucking have kids wanting to eat your mustache.
well, it would nurture my inner child, because I'm the one drinking the water, and it would flavor my water. Mustache flavor.
Do you ever? I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I think there's potential there. Do you ever like just put your mustache hairs in your mouth and play with them, like pull on them or anything when you got?
I have been recently. This is the longest I've ever grown it.
Yeah.
So I've never really experienced that before. I did. I was eating lunch the other day, and a burrito, just like stuffed it in my mouth because I was hungry, and it pushed a lot of mustache in my mouth, and I chomped down, and I got my mustache stuck. So I was like, it's kind of a predicament, because I had like the burrito like primarily bitten through, but not fully, and I also had a mouthful of my own lip.
I just found a flaw with the mustache.
Yeah.
Taste idea. I mean, what if you would have had blue raspberry, and then now it's time to eat a burrito?
Oh
You
well.
have to wash it out.
We it's just perfect for another product. You have a mustache cleanse
Remover.
or wipe, mustache flavor remover.
Yeah, MFR.
Yeah.
So I like the idea, and I want to hear more. It's reminding me of something though, because we basically just like invented a product that created a problem, and now we're selling the solution to the problem.
Yeah.
So it's a client we have who does a holistic medicine, and I think in a lot of ways holistic medicine is positive.
Yeah.
But they have partnered with this company that I guess basically has a portal that allows whoever their clients are to brand with them. So like our client has a branded supplement shop with this company. But another thing that this company does is they sell test kits for testing this in your blood or this in your body. And one of the things we talked about today was detecting the toxins in your body. The test kit's $1,000, which is fucking insane.
Yeah.
I mean, even for our client, it costs like $800. So they only make a couple $100, but still. In my mind, first of all, the whole toxin thing, there's definitely things that are bad for you. Shouldn't be inhaling like the dust that comes off of brake pads when you brake on a car. Like that ceramic dust goes in the air and you breathe that in.
Yeah.
But it's not like, well, you just drink some shots of ginger and you do this and that, and then now you're detoxified. It just doesn't work like that.
No.
But they sell it like that. And it's a gimmick of like, you got to get the toxins out. We got to go on this detox program and this and that. And that whole $1,000 just to even find out that you're full of toxins. It's like, of course you have a bunch of shit in your body that shouldn't be in there. Do you need to pay $1,000 to do that? And there's something to me, and it's like somebody's being taken for a ride on that one.
Yeah.
So the MFR, mustache flavor remover.
Yeah.
Some people are gonna get taken for a ride on that one.
Mm-hmm. I do think it could be a very fun product, and it could. It could be sold in adult shops even, just to spice up people's lives. Like
mustache rides would be very different.
Yeah. I think the mustache in recent years has become somewhat of an iconic symbol of hipsterism,
Yeah.
or something or another. But it seems to be making a comeback.
Absolutely.
I've been seeing some lip turds. No, sorry. Caterpillars. Lip turds are from the Zinners use, or the chewers, and
they call those lip turds.
Yeah, they fling their lip turds.
What about dip?
Dip is a lip turd also. Yeah.
One of them doesn't stink. somebody's shit doesn't stink.
Dude, the dump smelled so bad today. Like memorably bad. Like the inside of my truck kind of smells like it now.
Really?
I was there. Yeah, I'm sure it'll wear off here when I roll the windows down and drive around for a bit. But like, shit, I'm gonna roll up my windows next time I go to the dump because like the smell just like seeped in.
Oh, that's no good.
No.
Yeah, and you got an enclosed bed. Well, sorry to hear that, bud. It reminds me of the conversation we had because the first thing I thought of was an animal carcass in there? First thing I thought of was the animal carcass. Second thing I thought of was the farming, working in an office conversation we had.
Oh.
Neither of us put out a poll.
Bro.
You asked people?
No, but I don't know if you saw my Instagram story today.
I did.
That's
the one about the 90% or 45% of people were farming, and like, what was it? Some crazy percent were making food in their backyard, and now 0.1%.
Yeah, in the 1800s, 50% of America was farming, or they were farmers. 1945, 45%. Wait, Americans grew 45% of their food in their backyards in 1945, which I think that's sick. That's awesome. And today's era, 0.1% of our food is grown in our backyards, which it's like, that's not that, well, it hasn't been that long since like 1945. And
Can
like,
you screenshot that so that we can put that in the episode right here?
Oh, yeah. I know how to screenshot. I did it.
Nice.
Fucking did it.
Gold star.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole farming thing, I've meant to ask more people. My friend Michelle commented on the video before. By the way, if you're still watching and you haven't turned it off because we said that you probably don't really want what you're asking for. And we talked a little bit of shit, but in a constructive way. If you're still watching, go ahead and leave a comment, a like. That kind of stuff helps. Average view duration on our videos is like 15-20 minutes. So maybe we get the most important stuff out in the beginning.
Oh, is that why, like, on all these YouTube things, like, people talk for a little bit, get you interested, and they're like, oh, yeah, and like, subscribe, blah, 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 all that stuff.
Could be.
Yeah. Maybe we should mix it in a little earlier next time.
Yeah. Yeah, next episode we'll open with that.
Yeah.
What if we do the skit? It's like, please, sir, just give us a like and a subscribe.
That's all we need. It'll really help us along. I think we should get into skits a lot. I really I got quite a kick out of your last Instagram post on Undereducated.
That was fun, right?
That was fun.
Kaylee had the idea for misspelling success seeds and
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
I like to sow them today.
Yeah. Dude, can you see the moon?
Ooh.
Yeah, we've got a
peeker right there.
Yeah, big. It's looking pretty full. I'm not sure if it's full, but it's.
I think it's on its way out. I think it was full yesterday or the day before.
Oh, by golly.
I could be wrong.
Yeah.
So, something I wanted to talk about, but we moved on, was you said that you've been meeting some pretty good people recently.
Yeah.
You feel like that's taken any effort on your part?
No.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you have a high bar for what a good person is?
No. 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 I think I have a good gauge. I've met part of just people have been a part of my life. There's a number of years where I tried to ignore that fact and be like, no, I'm introverted. I like my space, my time. Turns out I was just high. And smoking sativa, which does not sit well with me.
Really?
No, sativas make me all sorts of anxious.
Huh.
I still smoke them, but they make me I don't know, they just kind of, it's like a small existential crisis, and I'm like, what's happening? Whereas indicas are very calming and just oh, yeah, that's nice.
This doesn't say.
That's all right.
This tobacco cigarette doesn't say.
Yeah.
You thought you were an island for a long time. and then you realize that you're not an introvert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I grew up with a big family. Grew up around people, always siblings, friends of siblings. There's just always people around, and like, turns out people I find really comforting. I find it really nice to be around folks. I might not always want to talk and engage in every topic, but like, it's just comforting to be around, and that's actually something I've been enjoying quite a lot. Living now in a household with 3 roommates, there's people around.
Yeah.
It's just nice.
Big part of that depends on the people. I lived in a house with 7 other roommates. I think 8 because one of the guys' girlfriends would live with them, but
Yeah.
not a fun experience.
Yeah.
And I mean, I could see, 3 roommates, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
3 roommates is definitely tolerable, bearable, sometimes enjoyable.
Did
you
you
know
have
who you are?
Did you have a roommate in this house? Like,
No.
did you share your room with somebody?
Everybody had their own room.
That's a big house.
It was in
Wow.
my short stint in Seattle. It was 1, 2, 3, 4 bedrooms upstairs, 2 downstairs, and 1 in the basement.
Did it have a nice finish to it? Was it a nice house?
It was at one point, but the guy that owned it just so it was in Green Lake, so by the college, by the university, and he just rented room by room. He owned like 30 houses, and so, I mean, you can imagine the guy was just cleaning up. Wouldn't really do much to the house unless somebody complained about it, and it was a bunch of college-age people, so nobody really complained about anything.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, got close with a couple of the people. Most of the people, you know who you are, just had their own problems going on, and I never really connected with them.
Yeah.
But on that topic of being an introvert or feeling like you're an introvert, I definitely went through that period too, where I was like, I think I might be an introvert.
Yeah.
I think more than anything, what that ended up being was a certain level of dissatisfaction with some of the friends I was around, but at the same time, a high level of satisfaction with myself. Like, having a good time and a good relationship with myself led me to be like, I could totally kick it alone.
Yeah.
And not necessarily need that. But as time went on and I spent more time with more people who actually were introverts, I started to learn about the intricacies of the actual difference between that, where, sometimes when you're around people, it can be pretty draining and pretty exhausting.
Yeah.
I tend to be of that thing of like, I can go and hang out with a group of people and be like, whatever, not a big deal. Not that it necessarily hypes me up. It doesn't drain me either.
Yeah.
Obviously, it depends on the group of people pretty heavily.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, in my experience.
Yeah. I kind of just love life, Not that, like, I think my life is perfect and I have everything in it that I want. But it's cool. The mystery of it, the ups, the downs, the whole ride is like, it's not always a good time. Sometimes it's hella stressful. But it's cool. The fact that there's these changes that go on through your life, even just through my 20s, like, I think going through my 20s has been like the most meaningful 10 years in my life so far. Like, when you're a kid, that sculpts a lot of who you are, and you create a lot of core memories. But then in your 20s, it's like, that's when you kind of scramble that all up, and have a lot of new ideas, have a lot of new realizations, and like, I feel like in the 10 years or the 9 years I've gone through of my 20s, like, I feel like I've been like 10 different versions of myself.
Yeah.
And at each point along the way, I'm like, oh yeah, this is like new, this is me, this is who I feel like this is my new, not residence, but...
Put the word right here.
Yeah, something, my new frequency or some shit like that, like resonance and frequency combined.
Vibe.
Vibe. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good blanket word.
Yeah, I like using that one. It works for a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely had a few shifts. Nothing too severe, though. I've always felt like myself at my core.
Yeah.
And I think a big part of that is honestly feeling like a loner. And I love being around people and feel like I make friends fairly easily.
Yeah.
But it's hard for me to feel like I'm on the same level or wavelength as somebody. And, you know, I'm glad you named the podcast Undereducated, Overstimulated. When you first brought it up, I was like, okay, we'll see, like, if anything else takes hold. But the more we go on, the more I realize just how accurate that is.
Yeah.
You workshopped that with a roommate, right?
Well, yeah, one roommate and then one.
You know who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think I am definitely overstimulated. You might be right, dude. That might be a full moon.
It looks girthy. It looks big.
Huge.
Yeah, it's massive.
Huge.
Huge, I tell you.
Everybody says it's the best moon.
Oh, man. I've never seen a full moon like that before.
So, yeah, the idea being that I consume a lot of media. I feel like I'm smart enough to understand things. And as I was listening to the last podcast, I even yelled out to Kaylee, I'm like, I probably am about 75% right whenever I talk about shit. So I get details wrong. By the way, Star Wars didn't come out in 1973. It came out.
Yeah, I like the little X marks on that episode.
Yeah. So I know what I'm talking about to a degree, like how it fits in a broader context. But when it comes to the details, that's where I get lost.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole point that I'm trying to make is I learn a lot of shit through a variety of tasks or topics, and I feel like a lot of people that I know don't. And then I get in these situations where I want to talk about things, and I was telling somebody about the podcast the other day, and I go, yeah, we ended up talking about the military-industrial complex and how it's legalized stealing and this and that, and they're like, yeah, just a casual conversation. And I'm like, that kind of is a casual conversation to me.
Yeah.
All that to say, yeah, I definitely feel a lot of times like I'm kind of the only one that is where I'm at right now. And it's hard to connect with people that go tit for tat with me on the variety and the range of things that I've learned about.
Yeah, I like how you have described yourself as a loner, but not an introvert. Because I think there is a difference. There is a difference. Like I feel that like I've got a bit of a lonesome, dusty soul, that like wants to have space and just like take a hike. And I actually do this relatively frequently. I was like try to find a really remote spot and just kind of walk, and just go out and walk on my own and just be is a really nice way to decompress and let that loner in me like kind of like relax and get its fill. But not an introvert. Like,
yeah,
still got some loner vibes, but still like people.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think both can exist at the same time.
Yeah.
Do you ever find a pronounced sense of dissatisfaction with life?
No.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. I don't know. I think maybe it's part of where I came from and how I was brought up or just who I am, but like I've always just been so damn grateful to have what I have and be where I am. There's been times where like I want other things or more stuff, but I don't think there's ever been a time where I've been like
yeah,
like this just isn't
I definitely that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's a blessing.
Yeah.
For sure. And
Hell
then, we've had conversations just generally with a bunch of people about how this, I don't even want to say this generation, every generation at this point feels like they have ADD. And we've talked about this, I've talked about it with a bunch of people. And I also feel like the expectation out of life, what life should be, has kind of been set in a large part by our media and our social media, and seeing people, the haves, and see what they have and be like, oh, well, we should have that. Or the American dream has been fed to us. Not even the American dream, beyond that. Like the idea that you could be rich one day if you just played your cards right. And a lot of people are like, well, I just got to play my cards right. And I could be like these people that I idolize on my media.
Yeah.
And a large part of that dissatisfaction when it inevitably doesn't happen, I feel like comes from ourselves. Can you look at the camera and see if it's still rolling?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Little square.
Yeah, a
Circle.
little square.
Nice. That's all we need.
You were...
But yeah, that dissatisfaction, I think, is a result of kind of everything that we've built around us, but at the same time, the human condition. And it's something that I feel pretty pronounced from time to time. It's part of the reason why I changed careers. And even recently, I've been finding myself thinking, like, I feel like it'd be a lot of fun to just set tile and, like, work construction with Avery. And, I mean, there's something beautiful to be had about anything you could do in life. But I feel like, for me, the novelty wears off really fast.
Yeah. Dude. Yeah. Should we doob up and begin the doob out?
I think.
Or cigarette? Or whatever.
This is probably going to be a lollipop.
Nice. A half-smoked lollipop.
You don't mind it, do you?
No. Oh.
I've smoked worse with better people. Oh, wow, thank you.
Yeah, a little sophisticated hand lighter.
Urban Tribe.
Oh,
Urban,
yeah.
that's good.
Actually, I like that word, urban. It's just like, just the way it looks, like URBAN. It's cool.
I'd have to agree.
Yeah. So, I've been reading a book recently, which is unique for me. I'm not much of a reader. But I'm really happy. I picked out this book and read it. And I'll go down the story some other day about how I picked it out, because it's a long story. But it's about working in the trades. We talked about it a little bit the other week.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly inspirational. And it's given me a lot of, like, appreciation for the work I do. And doing tangible work, physical work, it's hard, and it definitely can be draining. But in my experience, it's never been physically draining. It's always been mentally. And that's usually always related to money and payday and
For
stuff.
sure, yeah.
But like the art, which it definitely is, like construction is art. Like, look at a lot of these homes. Even the railings here, like, they're beautiful. This is like, there may be slight imperfections that like the craftsman could see, but like when you come to just walk up here, it's like, what a space. It's lovely.
I appreciate you saying that, man.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm a little bit too critical. All I could see was like the signs that it was a rush job.
Yeah. Didn't drill a pilot hole and just split the grain and like.
No, there's still plenty of pencil marks on everything, and
Yep.
it's a nice deck.
It is.
It definitely is very nice.
Yeah.
I think part of it has to do with like disillusionment, and when I was in the trades, one of the big things, I was excited to hit the road and travel, work over here in the PNW. Oh yeah.
It's delicious, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So let me back up a little bit. In Miami, it's so competitive. The union can't really treat its members like they're union members. You just got to do what you got to do to survive and compete. So that means doing a lot of jobs without the proper tools, sometimes without the proper material, and a lot of times in a rush.
Yeah.
And so I would get told to do these things feeling like I was set up for failure, or I'm set up to be stressed out this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And then people, even when you feel like you're making good progress, coming up and being like, hey, what's going on, man? You know we got to finish this faster. It's like, dude, what the fuck is this? So then hit the road. Complete opposite of that. You get all of the tools you need, all the material you need, for the most part.
Yeah.
And the foremen out here were insanely nice.
Huh.
Like, wouldn't even tell you did anything wrong. They wouldn't tell you, hey, this is how you're supposed to do it. They'd be like, why don't we go and, like, let's take a little field trip and look at how these other guys are doing it so that you could see and maybe you learn something from them.
Huh. That's nice.
I mean, it is. It is.
Yeah.
At a certain point, also, I'm like, don't pussyfoot around the guys that get upset at constructive criticism.
Yeah.
But the thing about out here is that you could tell it was the same thing as in Miami. They were just a little bit smarter about it. And instead of trying to allow us to do our jobs, it's just like everything else in the world. They're trying to systematize it in a way where all the conduit was pre-bent at a factory off-site, and you had to pretty much assemble it with, like, obviously blueprints, a diagram, but it felt like making Legos. Like Lego sets.
That kills some of the beauty and the inspiration. Have you ever, gosh, you might actually really like setting tile. And you might have just the right demeanor for it, because I'm by no means a pro or elite. Well, I guess I technically am a tile pro, but I don't consider myself a master of the trade yet, because like those guys have, or gals have been in there for a long time. But I think the key to it is staying inspired and still marveling at it, because I think a lot of tradesfolk get like complacent and stop caring and just want to get that. It becomes a routine thing. You're just getting a paycheck, making it function, and moving on. But I think if you have the right demeanor around it, it can be really cool, just inspiring and beautiful and satisfying.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with the projects you're on and the people you work with. The people you work with, number one. And I'm actually good on that. That's 20%, by the way. It's not the 4% baby shit.
Oh, nice.
20% tobacco.
And lollipop. Blue raspberry, maybe?
I was thinking one of the classic ones. It's got like a little handle, but it's big and it's got a bunch of different colors, like swirl pattern.
Oh.
And then the whole lollipop is a swirl, too.
Yeah, those ones...
They're like cartoonish.
They were so hard. Did you ever eat them, though?
I think maybe once.
Yeah.
I remember seeing at Spencer's or like Hot Topic that they would have those shaped like a dick.
Nice.
That store, going in that store as a teenager was wild.
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever been in a Hot Topic, but...
I had a feeling, dude. As I was saying it, I'm like, I bet you Avery has it. It's a wild store.
Yeah.
But going back to what we were talking about earlier, because I feel like it's more interesting, and I think the viewers will engage with it, because we're staying on topic without even trying. The whole thing about work that I'm starting to think might be the case, because just like you, late 20s, everything I knew before this was school.
Yeah.
So working in the trades, I think at a certain point, it's just, there was a level of monotony, and I think there was a feeling of like a lack of meaning from the projects that I was on.
Yeah.
Not feeling like the work was for any real point or purpose.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm getting there now with my current job, because
Oh.
at first it was, and I'm not quite all the way there yet. But at first, it was like all exciting and new, and we're helping small and local businesses. And I'm thinking, cool. We're like, nobody on our client list is anybody that I actually feel like is doing anything wrong, this, that, or the other. But now, I'm starting to feel like, I don't know, the work is not as satisfying as it was at first.
Yeah, I think that's an inevitable part of it. And your inspiration comes and flows. Like, at least that's my experience in any job I've done. And like, fuck, it's just kind of how it is. I think, I can see in some cases it might not just be for somebody, like certain careers. And like, you might need a more physical life that is also mentally stimulating and like this more full spectrum experience. Because sometimes just doing a task or a genre of tasks just isn't stimulating enough. And for me, that's what I ran into working in the bicycle industry, the pedal bike shops, I love selling bikes. It's a ton of fun. I love working on bikes. It's a ton of fun. But then doing it every day, all year long, the experience, the window of like my experiences was kind of small. It was just within that genre of life.
You kind of explore that whole window over and over and over again, and then it just is no longer interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fair point. I guess I've partially operated under the assumption, I've never fully thought about it, that there is the potential of there being a window that's just always fun to look at. And like, there's something you could do that you could never get bored because it's exactly what you want to do, but maybe that's not quite true. Maybe it's more that variety is the spice of life and not finding that one perfect thing.
Yeah.
Because I enjoyed my time doing what I did before, and I'm enjoying my time doing what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Even the podcast is something that now we're doing it, and it's a great time. Before, I wasn't doing it at all.
Yeah.
I didn't even feel like it was something I was missing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, gosh. It's definitely not 4% lollipop. That was clearly a 20% lollipop. It works.
Hit you hard, huh?
Yeah.
You want to sign off?
Sure, yeah, that seems like a fine thing to do.
I feel like we've done quite a bit of time at this point.
Yeah. There's always a chance that the camera just stopped on its own, too.
It's very possible. We have no backups on this one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man, I think it'll be... Oh, dude, at work, I don't know if this will make it in the podcast. You want to do a sign-off?
Sure.
In case?
What do we do again? Till next time, friends?
And enemies?
Oh, yeah, like...
Should we say give a sign-off?
Till next time. What was our last sign-off?
I don't remember, dude. What if we give a sign-off to our friends and then a different sign-off to our enemies?
What will we say to our enemies?
Well, I think we're going to find out.
Better luck next time.
First, to our friends, we want to thank you for watching and listening. You should watch, because I put a little bit of effort into the editing, and it's sometimes pretty funny.
Yeah, there's some gems. There's some gems in there.
Yeah. So thank you for watching, and...
To our enemies?
No. We'll finish one to our friends.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for watching and participating in this experimental podcast experience.
Yeah, and definitely please keep coming with the feedback, because I think it's helpful. And thanks again. And now to our enemies.
Better luck next time.
You thought you can get us?
Yeah.
Don't even try.
Yeah. That's the lighting, perfect.
The enemy's got the lights.
Fuckers.
Shut it down.